you know, the main stairs don't go all the way to the top floor on this one.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I do it a lot. Hey guys, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Here we are,
Just-
right? Training's over, right? We're backed in. Everything's washed up. We're good for the night. Everybody's sitting around. I'm like, we're still here. It's a little early. I'm like, hey guys, what are we gonna talk about? Well, let's take the rig out. Let's do, let's do BI, right? Let's go check out standpipes and sprinklers. Let's
Yep.
do this. It's taking that initiative to be able to teach that. That has a lot to do with it.
Yep.
You know.
And I'll hear it every day. You know, my office, like I said, my office isn't where it's supposed to be. You know, and I do it because I want to still stay connected,
Sure.
but I can hear what's going on. I'll hear a lieutenant that doesn't have a lot of time being a lieutenant walk into the assistant chief, the duty chief, and say, hey, I'm taking my guys over to, 123 Grant Street,
Right.
and we're just gonna look at this house, or, did you, or there'll be, they'll have lunch or something, and we're riding by, and this place here, it was under construction, so we just walked in.
Absolutely.
And I used to do the same thing.
Yep.
And when I was a lieutenant, and the captain that I worked for would do that. We'd be going down the road, going down the street, heading back, stop the rig, pull over. We'd pull over, we'd walk back 4 or 5 houses, and he'd show me something that he saw. Next thing you know, we're walking through this old building just because.
Yeah.
But I'll always remember that building. Someday you'll go to a fire there. I remember one that I went to a medical call in one time, and our guys were at a fire, and there was another set of stairs that they couldn't find. And I knew exactly where those stairs were. The problem was I was at home listening to the scanner, and I had no way of telling them guys where they found them.
Yeah.
But I remembered them from a medical call, when I was a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
10 years later, it would have paid off if those guys were on that same call, and they weren't. Something that maybe I should have talked about a little more, and I didn't. And so insignificant stuff, you pick it up here and there and here and there. But I don't think the true senior man, I don't think he has an idea that he's really a senior man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not that guy that boasts,
Right.
go get the door, I'm the senior guy. Go make
Right.
coffee, I'm the senior guy. He's not that guy.
No.
Well, it definitely varies from department to department. Like, the one example I have is for me, especially with Franklin Lakes and our department, when I think about it, we're missing almost like an entire generation.
Yes.
Between my generation and the senior guys. And by senior, I mean, like, the older guys, which is really your generation.
Yeah, I'm
So
young
you're
40s, and I'm one of
maybe less than 10.
10,
if
about
that.
3.
Yeah. If that are especially with our department, and for us, when I first joined, like, we had a couple of them, but some of them, like, I knew Jay right away was one of the ones that you want to gravitate to and want to learn from. Some of the other guys, they're not as willing to teach you in that sense, and I'm not sure what it was, or maybe just because it's the volunteer aspect or whatever it was, but the one example I learned of and saw today was we got back from that brush fire call, and we had our junior member in the back, and he's brand new. His family was in the fire service of the department. He just joined. He's 16 years old. And we have one of the kids that joined around the same time as I was in the back. And so I hopped out. I got undressed and getting ready. And before I could even blink, he's already grabbing the other kid. And he's like, all right, this is how we refill the water can. And it was one of the things that really caught my eye, caught my attention, is that he always takes the initiative. He always steps up. He has the mentality because of some of the other guys like that have had the experiences and taught us that, to take that initiative. And, before, like I said, before I could even blink, he grabbed him right away. He's like, this is how we do it. And he showed him right away, and that's something that this newer kid coming up and this newer junior member is going to remember and going to carry with him. So, but again, it comes down to we're missing an entire generation in our department.
And it's not just our department where you and I come from.
I'm sure it's everywhere.
Across the board.
Yeah.
It's hard. And but I think we need to be conscious of the fact that it is hard.
Yeah.
And we need to be sure that we can somehow find a way this day and age, if things are changing, then maybe the fire service needs to change a little bit too, to understand how to combat these changes but still bring forth the same culture.
Yeah.
And so on. And this is that struggle. I think we're all struggling with it.
Yeah. And
I also think that it's an empowerment too, and that's one of the things that I read a leadership book from a Navy commander who took over the worst, like the rated worst nuclear submarine in the United States Navy, and he got on this boat and he was just like, wow, like this is dysfunctional as shit. Like, what are we doing here? And he finally just said, you know what? Like, the problem is the officers are like being officers in absolutely the wrong ways, which is making the chiefs not do their job. And like, you know, the chiefs are the NCOs, and they're the ones who. So we brought them all in. And he said, I want every chief in my office. We're gonna have a conversation. He's like, you know, he's just said, he's like, who runs the Navy? And they were like, the chiefs. Who runs the Navy on this boat? And he's like, he thought it was going to be like a quick 20, 30-minute meeting of like, you guys are going to start. He's like, 3 hours later, he was walking out of this saying like, you know, starting to move forward on progress to get the boat turned around so that it was getting in better shape. And that's where it took him empowering them to be like, you are the one who's the backbone.
Right.
And you have to do that. And I think that's another area where sometimes we, you know, you see examples where it doesn't work, and you see examples of where it does work. And
Yeah.
like, I think in Newburgh, I think that's like there's I don't want to say like it's a full on empowerment where there's this like sit down, but people know that they're gonna do this portion of it, and they're gonna be that senior, like they, you know, they're empowered to I don't want to say unofficial leader, but they're almost gonna be that unofficial leader, and that's where I think sometimes we miss is that we don't because that's almost stepping outside your normal bounds in some things when you're thinking about it administratively. You have your chief, your captains, your lieutenants, and some places you have your sergeants, and then it goes down to that
Right.
seniority list, and you know, so
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just it's one of those things. It's one of those things in the fire service that is so important, yet I don't think it's discussed enough, and so on. But empowerment's incredibly important. I think when you could take newer members and empower them and support their decisions so that going forward, I mean, you know, one of the hardest things is as a leader is how do you expect the younger firefighters to take initiative when they don't know how to take initiative? Right?
Right.
Initiative is one of those things that, you know, when you're on a fire ground, you know, everybody has a job. And I alluded to this before. You have your individual jobs that leads to the team, the overall team success, which makes you go home. But everybody does their job. You know, if you're the OV, you're operating by yourself.
Yeah.
You're ventilating the building. Your responsibility. You know your equipment. You know your function. You know the reports you're supposed to make, and you know what's supposed to happen. But you're doing that individually by yourself. How do we expect a kid, and I say kid, and it could be a 25-year-old man, but how do you expect a kid to be able to take that initiative and do that job if the groundwork wasn't laid before him to teach him how to take initiative?
Yeah.
You know, and I think part of what is happening too is we're talking about the junior, senior man and guys aging out, and then we're pushing guys up the line quickly. You know, in the volunteer sector, you know, we have line officers that are definitely aren't old enough or mature enough to handle those positions. Mm-hmm. And then we're entrusting them to make decisions, and then when that decision's made and you go, whoa, like, hold on, you know, that might not be the best decision, how can you fault the kid?
oh, you can't.
You
Yeah.
put him in that position.
Yep.
And that's the part that nobody's really talking about.
No.
And I think that's an important topic to discuss, is that you have to understand that, you know, yeah, your remedial decision making, it's routine, you know, we can do that. But you gotta have the right people in the right spots. And when you start pushing people up the line quickly, you know, they start to make decisions that it might not be the best decisions. And it's all because of life experiences, or not teaching them the right and wrong about a certain topic, or, you know, 1,000 different things. And that's something that needs to be addressed more, I think, in the fire service.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Ridley from National Fire Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Catch up with us on social media. We got
SoundCloud, National Fire Radio, YouTube, National Fire Radio, Instagram, National Fire Radio, and
not least,
Facebook, National Fire Radio. Guys, check us out. Take care. Be safe.
See you later.